Your host, Kim Lalo. I'm a certified astrologer, psychic medium, feng shui consultant, and also I am a locator for sacred spaces. And I help you in any kind of real estate assistance you may need so you can get a hold of me. Tonight, we have a Scorpio moon. And this is one of those wrap up sessions that we're having tonight. And when I say wrap up sessions, I mean we are at the last day in August. And I just want to say hello to everybody coming into the chat room. It's the last day of August, and here we are. The summer is coming to an end. We are going to be, wrapping it up, looking back. What did we do this summer? Was it fun? Did you have a good time? Did you take a vacation? I'm talking about the Northern Hemisphere, of course, because the Southern Hemisphere is just wrapping up their winter. So we have tonight a lot of highlights that are coming into September. I'm going to be talking about that astrology wise. I'm also going to be talking about the art of intimacy. And what does that have to do with anything? Why do we need it? Do we want it? Um, do you even know what it is? How it intertwines with the physical act of exchanging bodily energies. And we're going to talk about sex. We're going to have a very light talk about how the spirituality and also how the body itself is made up of so many layers and how you must align them all to really have the best experience that God has intended you to. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that too, the joy of intimacy. I'm going to recommend a book while I'm thinking about it because a lot of people don't really know about intimacy. They don't really, we're not taught this in school. We're not taught how to have relationships. We're not taught how to express ourselves creatively. When you have relationships and you're going through grade schools or high schools or college, you're out there having these, wonderful contacts and sometimes these great friendships can last throughout your whole entire life. So sometimes we have no idea that there's so many different types of intimacies that go into our daily lives. And this is one particular book. It's by Manis Friedman and Ricardo Adler, and they are Jewish rabbis. It's the joy of intimacy. You never thought that, Jewish rabbis would have all of the goods on intimacy, but they do. And there's a wonderful avenue that we're going to travel down as well. So hello everyone, how's it going for you? How was August? We had this wonderful kind of laid back August, but things are about to shake, rattle, and roll. Tomorrow is the first day of September, and we've got this beautiful Mars aspect. It's sextile in Jupiter. And even though Jupiter is in retrograde, we've got this wonderful push, this wonderful opening. The curtains are drawn, and there on stage is the month of September. I have to tell you, it looks really good. We've got some milestones happening. And if you are setting off or promoting or doing something and you're thinking, gee, should I really do it this month of September? We're in this shadow period of Mercury retrograde. I'm going to say you couldn't pick a better day than to highlight whatever it is you would like to put on display or gravitate wonderful energy to. Because in this particular combination, We have got, and I always call Jupiter the Santa Claus planet of the universe, because whatever action you take with Mars, because Mars is the action planet, you are so going to get a gift card from Jupiter. I mean, you are going to see it in dollar signs. If you push anything forward on the 1st of September, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off big. So I'm just saying, yes, yes, yes. Hi, Bill. Hi, Phil. How's everybody coming into the chat room? I just want to say that September cannot, be kicked off in a much better spot than what we've got happening. So I love it. I think it's going to be a wonderful weekend that we are coming up in the United States. We have Labor Day weekend. And, it's really funny because my mom would always tell me that I was born on Labor Day. And so it's always been kind of a fun weekend for me. I always have a birthday celebration, or as the astrologers call it, once around the sun, we have a solar return. And I really enjoy, just kind of realigning, recharting what my next year is going to look like. And that's what I do for everyone. So if you are about to have a birthday, or you would like to give a birthday gift of perhaps a year ahead of a reading and the transits, and also your progress chart, you can go to kimlalowe.com, sign up for my sessions. For astrology, I have a whole hour or a half an hour just for your updates, whatever you'd like. And I always have gift cards available too, so that you can have a session and you can just give the gift of peace of mind with a medium session, or also a little bit of predictions and a little bit of help on your timeline for the next year. So it's always a great gift to present someone as well. So we're looking at this particular weekend, and we have got something that I really want to talk to you about, because Venus, the planet of love, and oh, thank you, happy birthday, thank you so much. The planet of love and higher money, actually. We've got Venus that's going to roll into the sign of Virgo. The party is in Virgo right now. And we've got the sun's in Virgo, and we're kind of partying with we're partying with the perfectionists of the zodiac. And with this, it's really, I want to say, the gift of the harvest. We are now starting to bring the harvest together, and it goes in steps. It goes kind of like in an accelerated manner. So Venus is now going into Virgo, making them shine, making them, the it sign of the zodiac. And along with Venus being in Virgo, Virgos love to give service. They love to edit. They're fabulous editors. They really want to make their surroundings a little bit better, a little bit more usable, a little bit more organized. And if they are commenting on something that perhaps is a little bit misaligned, it's just because they know that once the energy is aligned, you are going to be flowing much better. And you'll find this in just like cleaning, editing, organizing. They're fabulous teachers, by the way, as well. They have teacher energy, they have compassion, yet they've got the organization skills to present any type of subject in a manner that you will really get the best out of. I love teaching my astrology classes and feng shui classes. I love doing seminars and really just improving one house at a time, aligning one student at a time, and giving them all the information that I've acquired throughout so many years that I've been doing this work, and really learning from the masters to be able to present it to everyone. So I want to say this is Virgo time. Put your party hats on, Virgos. It is really fun. And this is going to be a fun weekend ahead for Labor Day. Um, we, when Venus goes into Virgo, a lot of times we look back at our relationships and we're thinking, what, you know, can I reflect on a lot of my relationships, whether they're friendships or whether they're romantic relationships? There a lot of stuff that I did or they did or whatever happened, wasn't really perfect. It wasn't something that perhaps wasn't as balanced as it should be. But I have to honestly say, perfection is never reached. It's only in the achieving, it's only in the journey to make life as good as you possibly can. That is the fun, and that's the joy of it. We never fully reach perfection. So, a lot of Virgos get very anxiety ridden, or they feel as though they're not doing enough, or they didn't do it right, or they have people telling them, you really should go easy on yourself. Well, when you're a Virgo, you feel you are not fulfilled unless you've done it correctly, or you've got the belief system that perhaps you didn't put enough attention into the matter. But I assure you that when we have this Virgo tendencies to want everything just right, the shadow planet of Pisces is straight across the zodiac, and that is the other half of us is Pisces. And Pisces, they just love to go with the flow. So Pisces, our shadow work, when we do our inner work, teaches us that it's okay to go with the flow. It's okay to just kind of let it go. And it's okay to trust in a higher process. And, I always like to say, God gave us many, many talents. And one of the talents is to be able to organize and edit an idea, a project, a relationship, so that we can present it clearly for everyone else to understand it. When Venus goes into Virgo, it is just push time for Virgos to make more money, honey, because Venus rules higher money. Exactly. So if you've been holding back thinking, no, I don't really want to go for a job because, this is coming up or that had to happen, or, again, is it ever the perfect time? Yes. I'm going to tell you that if you're not feeling it, it doesn't matter. Get out there. And if you've got to have a procedure done, if you've got to, go on a trip, or you've got, something coming up as far as transportation issues you need to get clarified, whatever it is, this is the time to go and push this first top of the week, because we're going to be getting into a Mercury retrograde. And I have to tell you about this Mercury retrograde coming up, and that is going to be on Friday, September 9th. Mercury is going to be going into retrograde at Libra. Yes, Libra is all about relationships at 9 degrees. Now, when you talk about these degrees, what does that mean? You've got, actually, it goes from 0 to 29 degrees and 59 minutes. So during that time, if you say Libra at 9 degrees, it's a very early Libra. It's the ones who are the Libras at when, at the very, very beginning of the sign. So when Mercury goes retrograde in Libra, we are going to kind of reconsider how we've presented ourselves. Are we being as charming as we possibly can? Are we presenting ourselves as fashionable as we possibly can? Are our surroundings balanced and in harmony? Are we using the right color palettes? We might be just concocting, wow, you know what? I really didn't like that summer stuff that I had out. I really want to get into fall. I can feel this big push to get autumn in quickly. I mean, and with panache. People are, oh yeah, I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for the fall colors. I'm ready to start redecorating and I'm ready for this to begin. Well, when Mercury turns retrograde, on that particular day, it stands still. And when it does, then it travels backwards. And this retrograde is going to be in this particular backward motion until October 2nd, when it backs up into Virgo again. And relationships are going to be key. I've got to rethink this relationship thing. I've got to rethink this money thing. I've got to rethink, am I being the best partner I can be? Am I being the best supportive person I can be for myself to present myself properly? These are the kinds of topics that we're just going to be battling on a day-to-day basis. And it's not the end of the world. It's not a huge challenge before us. But during this particular time, especially September 9th, we may lose something. We may find something that's been lost. We may we may find that something breaks, something we've been relying on and just taking for granted. The cars are one, right? The washing machine or dryer is another one. Just little things in life. Your hair dryer might just go, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've had this hair dryer forever. And now I've got to replace it during a Mercury retrograde. This is not the time when Mercury goes retrograde to really sign major contracts. And to really kind of, get the job of your dreams, because what happens in and this is kind of something I want to warn everybody about, is if you sign something, it's not going to turn out the way that you had expected it to. If you are going back to work with a company, with a friend, with a coworker, with someone that you've worked with before in your past, it's going to be fabulous. It's all about the past when Mercury goes retrograde. You can run into people from the past. You can go back to places from the past. You can go, back to restaurants of the past. This is something you'll have somebody email you or call you, and you're going to go, oh, wow, I haven't heard from you in ages. You're also going to have romantic partners getting a hold of you, especially with is it's basically to tie up some loose ends. Okay, they have a message to give you that you've been waiting for. And a lot of times when you, let's just say, get a phone call from someone from your past and you're just like, wow, this is great, let's meet, let's start over again, there seems to be, oh, wow, a change of heart. And you're not going to want to, go on with this relationship. You're going to go, oh, wow, what was I thinking? There was a reason why that relationship was in the past. Don't make any huge decisions while Mercury is in retrograde. Do your research. Great time to take classes. Wonderful time to give seminars. Perfect time to learn, research, and also to go back to the past and pick up some little golden nuggets along the way that perhaps you missed. Get the messages. Also make some new contacts. But this isn't the time to really obviously go forward with something brand new. However, when I say that, and you run into someone and they've got a great contact for you, make sure that you check it out. You can always say, I can start after, October 2nd or the shadow period of October 16th. That would be fine. But this is the kind of thing where you have to do everything twice. If you've scheduled something and it's happening, during this retrograde period, there's a really good chance that it's going to be either rescheduled or there's going to be some kind of a shift that's going to be happening. I also want to say that because Mercury is in Libra, this is not really a great time to, let's just say, uh, alter anything that you're doing. Not a great time to have a facelift or to redo, your hair color or your makeup. You're going to really feel like this is the time to redo your image, but it usually doesn't stick. It's usually just kind of an itch so that you can see where you're going. It's a great time to learn feng shui. Libra is all about balance, harmony. It's all about learning shading, color wise. It's learning about how to use different lighting, layering and lighting. It's a wonderful time to learn about how chi meanders and whispers through your home. Libra's an air sign. It's a great time to air out a lot of the things that you've been holding on to, maybe in your air conditioning all summer long or whatever that is. And it's a really great thing, by the way. If you've been tossing and turning and you haven't been sleeping through the night, take your pillows and put them outside in the sun. Yeah, we used to hang them on laundry lines and things like that. But if you can have your pillows absorb yang energy of the sun, because while you're sleeping, you have yin energy and it balances out so you have harmony while you rest. If there's too much yin energy, you are going to have the sweats, you're going to have a lot of drip, postnasal drip, you're going to have a lot of mold, mildew around if it's too yin. When you're sleeping at night, we do want it to be calm. We want it to be serene, but charge up your pillows. I know that's a feng shui tip so that you can have wonderful bacteria free and energized in the morning when you wake up. You're going to see a difference. So that's a little tip there. Hello, everybody coming into the chat room. I see Michelle's there. Mary's there. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Louie. Oh, my God. Hey, Louie. Haven't seen you in a long time. Hey, Julie. Hey, Katie. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. How are you, everybody? We also have that polar opposite for Virgo, since it's the parties with Virgo. I was just talking about that inner work, that shadow work that we need to do. And Virgos are always wanting to do the best they possibly can do. The shadow side of Virgo, of course, is Pisces, like I said before, which is a water sign. Pisces are lovely to go with the flow, but Pisces love to daydream. They love to get out of the body, and through either drugs or alcohol, this is what they tend to have, to overdo on. Let's put it that way. If you're not using your creativity, if you're not using your God-given talents, this is escapism. This is a lot of things that people try to fill up that gap, fill up that unhappiness that that uneasiness that you are not fulfilling the mission in life. And this is something that Virgos can do as well, just so you know that. And Pisces, when they get on a roll, because Pisces shadow is Virgo, they can get very picky about what they want to eat and who they want to hang out with. They get moody. They can be on that perfectionist mode as well, if you know any Pisces or Pisces rising or Pisces moon. So just so you know, any sign, and this is general across the board, if you're not using your God given talents, and some of us have a deep dish of talents that we have been given, that we've acquired, that we are skilled in, if we are not using them, we are not going to be able to be attuned or aligned in the absolute way God intended. We're going to feel unhappy. We're going to feel like any zip code we go into, it's not going to feel right. Any person we meet is not going to be the one. Any friend we meet, we're going to be paranoid about it. What do you want from me? Or are you going to stab me in the back? You're going to gossip about me, when I leave the room. When you are immersed in your passion, when you're using your gifts, whether it's management, whether it's organization, whether it is working with children, whether it is medicine, whether it is writing, whether it's music, art, dance, whatever it is, you need to be doing it. I'm not saying doing it as a full time, replacing your big money with it. I'm talking about getting that soul to realign with the gifts you were given. Then you will be able to experience the joy, the passion of life. And when you do that, it just generates out like huge. You are going to have an aura that's filled with magnetic energy that brings joy back to you. And it also permeates everybody else around you. And you're going to be this wonderful, joyous person. Life's going to be good again. You know, and you can imagine if you were given the gift of cooking or providing food, and you're never able to cook or do that. That's going to be all stored up inside of you, and it's all it when anger or blocked creativity gets stored up in the body. What happens is it turns into two things. One is anger, and that when that anger goes inward, it's depression. Yeah. So you get depressed. So the best thing is, just like, when you're a parent, you want to have the best for your children. You want them to be as creative as possible. If they're good at sports, you want to be there encouraging them to do so. That's one of their gifts. They're very joyous when they've done that. If you have someone who's a little painter, and you want to give them anything they need in order to be able to produce and to share their gifts with the world. That's the same with yourself. Take time out during this Mercury retrograde. Take time out and just highlight your gifts, highlight your natural love of life, your passion, and make sure that if you haven't been doing it now, go back to the past, right? Mercury retrograde sends you back to the past so that you can see, oh, you know what? When I was younger, I loved to dance. I loved it. Well, then go back, take a dance class, or just put the headphones on and dance. Dance while you're cooking, dance when you've got the vacuum in your hand, but make your connection with your gifts. It's really very, very important, especially for Virgos and Pisces, because on September 10th, we've got this beautiful full moon in Pisces. And that would be, let me get the degree, that's 18 degrees. And we have got the planet of Uranus, which has been really marking all of our charts in the last, I want to say, 5 years. Uranus is the planet of rebellion, but creativity also. It's also a very independent planet. It's lining up really harmonious with this Pisces full moon. And it's just going to, it's really all of the surprises, all of the shocks, all of the new switcherooskies that we are going to be seeing are going to be good. They're going to be for our best and highest good. So we've got to look forward to that. If someone gives you an opportunity to kind of switch your path a little bit, or someone brings to you a really great deal you want to check out, it's going to be an opportunity. I may suggest that you've got an attorney there to really read the fine print, especially when Mercury's in retrograde. But this is going to highlight, the good side of shocks and surprises. And then we've got a week coming up after the 10th. We've really got a week that we're going to be researching inward. We're going to be hearing all about bits and pieces, whether it's globally or just our country, governments, even in your little town square. Maybe the kids are going back to school and they're redoing a lot of the laws, and a lot of new inventions or new ways of protection. We need to be putting these pieces together. We need to support one another, because these particular times of Mercury retrograde is also a time of going and cementing in loopholes that have been gaping for a while. So anything that we want to put into place is going to be infiltrated or commenced during or after October 2nd, is really going to stick. It's not going to be a drive-by thing you're going to be doing. It's something that you really need in your life to make your future better. We're going to hear about so many new technologies. This next year coming up in 2023 is going to blow you away. We're going to be using them very quickly. They're going to get them rolled out and they're going to get them into the public hands very quickly. Watch. We are going to have so many technical things. I also have to talk about Mars right now is in the sign of Gemini, and it's going to be in the sign of Gemini until 2023. And I have to tell you, Gemini rules communications. These phones might be a thing of the past real quickly. You may come up with something else. You may be the first one on your block to have it. You may have other things coming in, their communications, transportation, cars may be rolling out with totally new inventions on them. We also may be hearing about a new type of vehicle that's going to bridge the way to air travel. So we may be seeing that, and they're going to be rolling that out so we can really take advantage of that as well. So that is really going to be unbelievably cool. As long as we don't lose our temper and we, count to 10, Mars kind of pushes the bubble a little bit, makes us a little risky, and we're using the words that perhaps we fly out right out of our mouths. We want to, have healthy conversations. We want to have healthy boundaries. And that's what we're going to be talking about next. I want to really kind of draw in the next really big item in astrology that's going to be happening, and it's September. On September 22nd, the sun is going to enter into Libra. So the Virgos, party now, because by the 22nd, it's going to be all about Libra, and we're going to have the autumn equinox. The sun is going to conjunct Mercury. Mercury's still going to be in retrograde, and that is going to be at 0 degrees. That's a very, very hot point in astrology, 0 degrees. So look for new ways that you are going to want to use to communicate, whether it is maybe a new channel that's opening on social media, or perhaps you yourself have found something or another topic or another show or a new way to bring in your communication levels to a higher frequency. This is what it's going to be about. So I'm excited about that. The autumn equinox is going to be something that I think is going to be really gracefully brought in. We've been pushing on that now, but when it really happens, it's going to start in and it's going to be extremely graceful because fall in all of its colors and all of its glory, especially for the Northern Hemisphere, gives you this fabulous show. And I want to say that everyone's going to be talking about it. So if you haven't booked your fall foliage tour yet, make sure you save a weekend for that. That's really kind of coming up. We've got some rocking and rolling to do in October and November. So make sure that you give yourself a beautiful foundation of anything that you want to go back to the past, maybe learn from, or like I said, there could be loose ends, there could be gaping holes in something you totally missed. You might want to take a class, you might want to learn how to make your timeline coming up for this particular transitional season that we call autumn. I want to help you do that. If you want to, you can just book a session for upgrades, or for just updates as well. You can just use the 30-minute session at kimlalow.com, or you can use the 1 hour session, and we can really get some great work done. And I'll throw in some personal feng shui for you too. And that would be the 60-minute astrology session as well. When we were talking earlier about Venus, the planet of higher money and love, going into Virgo, we're talking about Virgos are very, and they're known to being extremely particular in their relationships. And they're very loyal, but they're very particular. They like things done one way. They like things to be organized. And if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, you may have your Mars in Virgo. You may have your own Venus in Virgo. And during this particular time, you may have a great review on your relationships, especially your romantic relationships. So I want to get into that a little bit because so many people think to themselves, well, you know what? When we first met, things were amazing. It was hot. We were just like crazy in love. And now, we're in this relationship for many, many years, and it's nothing. It looks nothing like it did when we were kids or when we first got together, or however that is. And I want to talk to you what really goes into healthy, long-standing relationships. And the word is intimacy. And a lot of people don't really know about intimacy. They think, oh, when you're intimate, it leads to a physical union, sex. And I want to tell you that there's so many different types of intimacy that we use in everyday interactions with people. The first time intimacy came into your life is when you were a baby. When you were a child, you were very bonded and very intimate with your mother, especially if you were breastfeeding, right? But the hugs, the cuddles, the touch, you were conditioned for that. We all need intimacy. We all need touch. We all need to know that standing by our own, we need to know that there is another person there with us. And, we were made that way. God made us that way. The male, okay, the male is the yang. The male is full of action. The male is the one that fulfills, okay? The woman is yin. The yin energy of a woman is to receive. And if the male is not directed into a healthy direction, okay, He's going to be, hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss, and wondering why can't he sustain relationships? If the woman, if the woman has a blockage about receiving, and Virgos a lot of times have blockages about receiving. They want to be a little bit more yang than they possibly should because their makeup is to serve. They want to make sure everybody's happy. Am I doing enough for you and you and you and you? And then all of a sudden they suffer from burnout that they've been, making sure everybody else is happy, and then they can't possibly receive. And this is something that, having my master's in metaphysical counseling is something that I really look at in a chart that, there are no blockages. There isn't a, let's just say, generational blockage of women receiving in a healthy way. And when a man gets together with a woman, um, and the sparks start flying, in other words, they want that, what we call tai chi. It's the yin and the yang come together in tai chi, which is absolute union. And this is what we all strive for, is the balances of elements, especially in feng shui, but also in movement and in defense and offense, and you can get this in a lot of karate and things like that. But what we want to achieve is tai chi. Now, when we're talking about intimacy, these are the, I want to say, the skills that you're never taught this in school. But these are the skills that you can learn or you can nurture in order to get that Tai Chi. So I want to talk to you about it. It's more of a, some people say, oh, there's 10 types, there's 12 types of intimacy, seven, five, whatever it is. I'm going to go through a couple of them because intimacy, you can have the romantic intimacy, but you can also have non-romantic intimacy as well. And those are those very healthy connections. They're long lasting. This is where you develop trust between each other. And Scorpios have a very hard time. If you're any Scorpios in the building over here, they have a hard time with trust. It's just something that they do. They've got to research everybody. And we give them this gift of not trusting so that they can reach the depths of understanding on a soul level. They're very deep when it comes to developing their relationships. They don't just want somebody to, give them the fluff and the glitter. They really want, they want to have their socks knocked off into the middle of next week or, into the next lifetime. So, really this trust that you're building through intimacy helps you when you want to have the loyalty that's contained within you returned, and it's something that needs to be trusted. Now, this intimacy, there's emotional intimacy, there's mental or intellectual intimacy, of course, spiritual, there's physical, absolutely, there's creative. And there's also, when you have like a friendship, you're intimate on a friendship level as well. Let's talk a little bit about emotional. So many people, and this has come up through my counseling, where they're saying, nothing's happened between us, but, wild horses can't drag me away. And, we're entwined with other relationships, but yet emotionally you have spent time building a trust between you, sharing secrets that you don't tell, perhaps, your significant other, or perhaps something that you share, you let down your guard. And some of your fears you share, some of the most happiest moments you've shared. These are the stepping stones. This emotional intimacy can lead to physical intimacy, of course. But when you have one person who, you have to have healthy boundaries, and you have to know that you are entangled in emotional intimacy with someone. And this can happen very easily, very quickly. You see someone who's friendly, and right away, there's something about that connection that you drop your guard. And pretty soon, they're telling you, about this and that and very intimate things. And you're just like, wow, I have no idea why. Why they're telling me this. My daughter owns a boutique, and she's always saying that, they come in to purchase dresses, or boutique items, and pretty soon they're just opening up on all these intimate things that have happened in their lives, and pretty soon they've made this connection, and there's a customer for life. And one person has to listen, one person has to use compassion for the other person, and perhaps they're not getting that compassion in their day-to-day relationship, because perhaps, how it is. Two people in a marriage, they're running here, they're running there, they're trying to get to the job, they're taking care of the children. They don't have time anymore to revisit that heart to heart, those soul talks that you used to have. And perhaps the other person, they're so used to hearing, your background and your stories, they're not enamored anymore. And so a stranger or a new friend is, and they're just thinking, wow, you've got all these talents, and you've done all these things. Wow, you are to be revered, and you're revered, and all this stuff. And for the first time, you're like, wow, that's right. That makes my heart jump. That makes me feel good that somebody sees me in the way that my companion used to see me. And that's something that happens over time. So emotional, that's really the words, the communication, the letting down of your vulnerability, and really the sharing of things that you don't normally share with just the public. The mental intimacy is your ideas, your thoughts, your plans, um, and also your views on life. You can have an intellectual intimacy with someone that perhaps you're on the same thought level with them. I can talk to them for hours and hours and hours. They're on the same page I'm on. That can lead to physical intimacy, but that is something, again, healthy boundaries. When we know about these different types of intimacy, we know how to direct them, we know how to share them in a very healthy manner. And we also know, what to expect from each other. We know what our healthy boundaries are. And it does. It's so nice to have a little mental gymnastics, perhaps with another person who's interested in the same views you are, or the same beliefs that you are, or that you have found to be transformable in your lifetime. Now, the spiritual intimacy, these are also your values, your core concepts, your core belief patterns, the spiritual energy that you share with another person can be all encompassing. It can, and on this particular level of intimacy, it can share all of the above. You can have physical, you can have mental, you can have emotional. If you add that spiritual component uh, to a relationship, you know, it's almost like the icing on the cake, especially when you have people who are sensitives or empaths, or they have psychic abilities, or they're spiritual warriors in themselves. You really have that thing that you share about philosophies, and that spiritual intimacy also has boundaries. And just to know that, oh, I have this great spiritual relationship with this person. We have this, and it's called intimacy. We've shared these spiritual beliefs, and I tell them what's happened, in my spiritual community and my experiences. They've shared with me. Perhaps they couldn't share with anybody else. And this happens a lot of times, whether you have a tribe or a group, or in your metaphysical worlds, a lot of times you all share this spiritual intimacy. Talking about physical intimacy, I mean, that's when you're talking about sharing, you're sharing your touch, your kiddling, you're cuddling, you're romantic. You're making eye contact in the soul itself. Your heart races. Your heart can tell, whether there's a connection there or not, whether you are going to be, as a man, whether you are going to be safe enough to make advances, and women, whether you are going to feel safe enough to be receptive. And it's one of those things in like your energetic pattern. Let's take the female energetic pattern, because even if you have had your tubes tied, had a hysterectomy, the womb itself sings a song. That is your chakra. That is your sacral chakra. It's sacred. It's the holies of the holy. It literally sings. And even if it has been removed, the imprint in your energetic makeup is still there. It is still there. It is still singing a song to attract and to be fulfilled. And this is something that when women, they don't know why they're unhappy. They don't know why they're off balance. They do not know why. And they are describing their ache to be fulfilled. And so with the man himself, as they age, their hormones also, are not in balance. They also, the drive, but their imprint is still there to advance, to be the nurturer, to be the supporter, to be the one to fulfill the female's needs. And, you can do it in a lot of different ways as well. And that can, fall over into taking care of someone, whether it's, monetarily or literally taking care of their health, but providing the fulfillment of their needs. And that could spill over into all of the other ones for emotional intimacy as well. When you're talking about experiential and creative intimacy, this is when you share your time or your interests with friends, with friendship. Let's say, you buddy up, you go to the gym together, you work out together. Let's just say you play tennis together, or you swim together, or, these kinds of things are the friendships and kind of the buddy system that you do activities with on a day to day. You go to have, you go to get your hair cut together, or have your nails done, or you go shopping together, lunch together, men watch football together, or whatever that is. That is that particular intimacy that you have. Also creative and creative intimacy when you sit down, a band that's making music, you get into the synergy of this creative intimacy that you really can't do or don't have with other people. It's the same thing. I mean, you have healthy boundaries, of course, but when you share any degree of these particular variations of intimacy, it can always lead to the union of Tai Chi. But know that to have that Tai Chi as an everlasting goal in life, you really need to respect, have compassion, and also know that there are all these other types of intimacy that go into the whole of Tai Chi. So you have a complete union as God intended and as your energy is intended. And when we look at all of these different kinds of intimacy, right away you can say, oh yeah, I do share that with that person, or I do have that with that other person, or perhaps I'm lacking, as well. So as we're going through this Mercury retrograde in Libra rules partnerships, balance, and harmony. And we're also having Venus in Virgo when we may be a little bit particular in, the kinds of connections that we allow. I want you to go through your energetic makeup in a meditation, or perhaps when you are just sitting by yourself or reflecting in the past, and find within your energetic field if there are blockages. Women, are you open to receive? Are you open to receive intimacy with the universe so that you can allow downloads to come through and receive? Men, are you connected? Are you aligned with the universe itself to be able to handle the force, the action that you will be fulfilled when you take that next step, that next action in your life? These are the kinds of things that we never talk about, right? uh, but it is so helpful to go through to identify any blockages, ask the universe to dissolve them for you, invite the angels in to highlight that, and to go to work on aligning and balancing out your chakras, your particular aura, and your energetic field. I know everybody, wow, let's see, everybody is in the chat room. Let's see, Janine, hi there. Joanne, hi. Everybody's in there. Oh, thank you so much for coming into this one. This one was really one of my favorites. I just wanted to have an intimate conversation with you, and we are going to have more guests. Yes, I've got a great roster full for the season of autumn, but I really wanted to kind of have a little moment with you. And if you missed the beginning, go ahead and go back. I want to say that sometimes, we don't use that word intimate because we think it means physical. But now we can go through and say, hey, it's okay. It's okay to share different things on many different levels, as long as you have healthy boundaries when you do use that. You know what? We are the captain of our own ships, and we can invite anyone on board that we would like, as long as we know in our hearts that we can trust them to be responsible with the gifts that we're sharing with them. And there's always a couple of pirates in the channel of life, trying to struggle to get on board our ships. But now that, we know we've got healthy boundaries around our hearts, around our souls, and we do have free will and free choice in planet Earth, but you must remember that comes with consequences as well. They never seem to include that whatever they talk about, free will and free choice here on planet Earth. I want to just choose a card as we're talking. And the card that I chose was to let go. Let go, be the best that you can be intimate in many different ways, and be the best part of how God made you. Use your gifts and spread joy anywhere you can. Until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Thanks, everybody, for coming along with me this hour. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you hit the bell, notify when I'm back on the air. Thanks, everyone. Good night. There we go. Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to 27 Degrees SAG. I'm your host, Kim Lowe. I am an astrologer, psychic medium. I am also, I do this wonderful chakra work, and this is why this wonderful lady is in front of us as well. And it responds to astrology, Western and Chinese, and also when I do feng shui as well, the heart of the home. So she has written this fantastic book, Harmonize Your Heart the Badass Way. If that isn't a great hook, I don't know what is. Please welcome to the show, Denise Davis. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm moving into a new home, and I just heard that you also have gone through a move to be by family, and best of luck for your new adventure. And I'm just kind of in the middle of mine, so it's kind of like a madhouse for me at the moment. So thanks so much for your patience and putting up with me. But I wanted to kind of get behind the scenes a little bit. I want to, as soon as I catch up my breath here, I want to order this book, and I want to read it and enjoy it when I have time, savor it. But I was just kind of wondering, when we all sort of realize that, we want to go on a spiritual journey, or we want to quench our thirst a little bit about spirituality, what it really means for you. How did you start your journey? And was there a specific modality that kind of was your gateway to finding more about yourself, or more about, really how, the cosmos works? Was there some kind of, let's say, an incident in your life that kind of pulled you into the spiritual stream? Is there a little bit of a background there?
Yeah, so I've always been slightly different. A slight maverick, should we say. And also I didn't realize that I was an empath, and that I picked up on spirit, because when I was young and I saw lots of faces, it all frightened me. So I switched off, and I started again being interested when I first had children. But my ex-husband was really frightened about everything psychic and spiritual. So he said, I'd rather you didn't do any of that. And I was a bit younger than him, and had, I ended up having 4 children, which I love and adore. So I was quite busy, and didn't seem to mind that I'd allowed myself to be curtailed in some way. I don't think I even realized until later on. But when he left me after 32 years of being together, I embraced the whole world. It's like, yes, my world just opened up everywhere, because all the things that I wanted to do, scuba diving, jumping out of planes, um, doing
Wow.
the spiritual stuff, going to psychic development classes. I had therapy, and the first therapy that I had was NLP and hypnotherapy, and that was to help me with my emotions and things. So what this meant in the end was that I stopped being a primary school teacher, and I fell in love with all sorts of modalities, and I've trained for years, and I just think, for me, there was no such one that was the be all and end all for everybody. So I've got an eclectic mix of different modalities of coaching and healing, and everything works for someone.
Right.
So it's just amazing. And I just was so impressed at how quickly you can make changes. Well, we know with quantum physics, but at that point I didn't know an awful lot about quantum physics, but we know, life can change on a sixpence. So that just opened my world to everything. So although I was devastated at the time, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I look back and I think, oh my gosh, I really found me once he was no longer on the scene. And I was blessed that my children were older as well. I wasn't left with tiny little tots. So all in all, it worked out really well. It just took time for me to adapt.
Right. So you, if a big weight had been lifted, right? And now you got to do what you wanted to do. I mean, 4 children, I had 3, and you do every day. You live to just keep the momentum going at a certain pace, just to get to the next, the next season, or the next month calendar, so to speak. But, it's one of those things where when you have some type of a traumatic, whether it is an ending of a partnership, or perhaps it is a health issue, or it could be many different things, right? It could be a career change, or it could be a family member, the loss of a family member. It's things where you tend to go inside, right? And you go inside and you kind of reach out to whatever that belief platform that you were raised in. And sometimes that's where that little wound is, where the light comes in, and it's almost like it fills up the whole room. It fills up the whole house. It fills up a pathway into a whole new future. And so if anybody's listening out there, and you're in the middle of going through something like this, I also must say that there's many catalysts that happen to really kind of bring you in to the spiritual journey, that a lot of us are on. I started studying astrology at the age of 10. I really believe that I knew astrology in another life, and I was just remembering it. But that was the way, and I was very psychic as a kid. I didn't want to be, because, you said, when you see that stuff, it's scary. You don't know where to put that, right?
Didn't know what it was either.
Yeah. And so, so your children were older. So when you started discovering all of this, were they excited for you?
No. Because I've always been slightly different, by opening up to a whole new world in all sorts of different ways, changing career from a primary school teacher to, a coach 20 odd years ago, the modalities weren't really in the forefront at that time. So that just made me even more strange to the children. I mean, it's different today. It's far more acceptable today, because again, you see people tapping with EFT and things on the TV, at the Olympics, or Tiger Woods with golf and things like that. And there's a lot more of us around now too. So again, when they go to networks, I know when my daughter goes to networks, she comes across other coaches and healers and things. So, she'll be saying something to me and she'll say, oh yes, the 5 languages of love. And I'm like, gosh, wow, when did you find out about the languages of love then? So we'd have all this discussion, and it's a lot easier now. Well, they have to accept who and what I am. Otherwise, I'm not really part of their life, am I? And it's quite good because my grandkids are really open, and I think that's a big key for me.
That's
Is the
good.
children. I've got an extremely sensitive grandson. I think all my grandchildren are, but I have got a grandson who's very, very sensitive, and he said to me, "You're the only one who understands me, Nanny."
Oh, cute.
He's a fellow empath, and I don't think he really realized it either. And because I never had anybody behind me, I just I want them to know that there is someone here, and that's really quite important. And that was part of the reason why I ended up relocating back up to be near family, whereas in the book ended with me moving to Dorset, following my dreams, and I was there for over 8 years. And then again, spirit called, universe called, God called, whatever form you want to call it, I had this inner knowing that I was to move back. And despite one house falling through, I still knew that I was supposed to be here. And actually, I have been needed a lot by the grandkids. So yeah, I think following our intuition is really important.
I do too. And it's one of those things where no matter what your intuition, but you're like, I don't know if that's me thinking that or me hearing that, or, you kind of have to get used to, honoring your guidance from above, or your guides, or perhaps your own psychic ability opening up. And, I do the intuition expedition, which really brings up levels your intuition through a lot of different fun skill play, role play, different types of sharpening your intuitive skill. So hopefully that will get into print real soon, so everybody can take advantage of that as well. So this wonderful book, how did it inspire you? How did it come about? Was it something that was just itching to get out, or?
No, it wasn't itching to get out. It's quite strange, really, because years ago I'd started to write a book, and I'd been encouraged for so many years by everyone else, and I started it, and my heart wasn't in it. It never got finished. It just languished on the desktop. Anyway, I ran a speaking group I co-hosted a speaking group when I was down in Dorset. And then I decided after a time that actually I wanted to concentrate more on doing my own thing. So I was asked by people who used to come in and be part of our audience if I would give a talk. So my swan song, my last evening, was giving a talk. And within 2 weeks of not running that group, I just woke up one morning and just thought, actually, that talk could be a book. Now, I was very naive. I thought it wouldn't take 5 minutes. And, I had something there. Oh, my golly. It did need a lot of work. And I didn't even really have an idea of how it was going to be. So it's really quite interesting how it turned out. But I was just, I don't even know what the word is. I was so motivated and disciplined that I literally wrote every day, unless there was a day that I was feeling below par, because as the book is a lot about ways that you can become coherent in yourself and self-love, I'm not going to write stuff when I'm not feeling my best. But most of the time I was writing regularly. So in some ways it was dying to come out, or itching, you called it, which is a much nicer term. But it seemed to badly want to come out, but I didn't know it. until I just woke up one morning, and that's it. Right, off we go. And I
Wow.
did. Yeah, and I self-published.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So as far as harmonizing your heart, was there a specific skill or a specific way that you learned through, just kind of healing or
all trial and error. A lot of it was looking back with hindsight that, I used to be a people pleaser.
Mm.
I used to be a rescuer. I had no boundaries. So it was lots of things that I learnt by overcoming my divorce and looking back on my life even before that helped me to heal and to become a better person, really, in myself, and to find who and what I was, to become more self-aware. So in the book, at the end of each chapter, there are questions as well. So anybody who wants to buy the book, it will give you a feeling or a sense or a knowing of where you are at that point. The questions will give you more self-awareness. And also the book in itself is, it is ways that you can become more in love with yourself and overcome a lot of your stresses and distresses and all of that. Yay.
And I'm thinking that harmonizing your heart, let's take the first part of the title, then we'll get to the next part. But the first part, I'm thinking, maybe it has to do with really accepting, and opening your heart or loving who you really are. You'll be harmonizing, the love, that's around.
If we're not in harmony within ourselves, we're in disharmony, aren't we? So disharmony will create dis-ease within the body, and over time that could lead to ill health. But disharmony can be created by stress, by pollutants, by negative emotions being there constantly, or at the time I had a lot of upset. I mean, I really was devastated, but I also had these looping thoughts going round and round and round. So to be in harmony within yourself, mind, body and spirit is really important. And as we know, our heart, well, without our heart, we won't be alive. So it's important that we take self-care of that. We need that to pump the blood and pump the oxygen in our blood around our body, as well as other nutrients to all our vital organs. So it is important as a start that we know how to take care of ourselves, and we do. We all know that we need time out, that it's good to meditate, to eat the right foods, to hydrate, to sleep well. But it's even things like, not putting too much salt on your food, to check your dental hygiene, because that can actually have a detrimental effect on you. There's so many things that impact our lives, and as women, and I'm not sure if your show is for women, but as women, we've always put everybody else first. Self-care for ourselves was last. And actually, we need to put our own oxygen mask on first so that we can look after our families and everybody else, because women are quite an important part of the family. To me, they are the linchpin. Maybe not quite so much now as in the past, but they still are, because without the women, the cogs just don't happen. All the jobs around the house and everything else, it's almost like we are that one hub. Although people have got partners and they are very helpful and whatever, I don't know. It's down to the women to do the organising a lot of the time. So a priority, and I was always taught that it was selfish to prioritize the self. And the only time I found that was an untruth was when I first went to therapy, when my husband told me he was leaving. And my coach said, that is not selfish. He said, if you take care of you, you can look after everybody else. He said, it's important. This is your life. This is your gift, your present. Are you going to keep living your life for everyone else? And I absolutely was. So it was really quite interesting, and I just think I'm sure that I'm not the only female out there with those sort of things going on. So I thought, well,
Absolutely.
20 years of, was it 20 years? No, it was probably 16, 17 years worth of information at that point. And I just thought, well, if I can share that and help some people with ways to be congruent with themselves, then that's the purpose of the book.
I think also, you brought up a great point, Denise. You said, about taking time out, taking care of yourself. And I think you lead by example. If you have little ones or you're in the family with children as well, they see mom relaxing. They see mom, I have to spend, some time doing my work right now, or I have to spend some time relaxing, dressing, or taking care of whatever it is that I need to take care of. And that is leading by example. So the children do that too. They learn that it's important, to take care of oneself. Growing up in the era, I think, that we grew up in, that was never taught. And so I think we broke that generational guilt, shame, perspective anyway, that it was selfish if you did put yourself first, or you did take care of yourself. So I'm very much into leading by just kind of setting the tone, let's put it that way. We sometimes we all can't live up to our own expectations, but it's a good thing that you were talking about that, and leading by example, I think, is a great thing. Now, harmonizing the heart, do you have steps in your book to kind of take everybody through that?
I have, in the book, there is harmonize your heart technique, and that's to help people if they're going through a bit of an emotional upset right at that point. They can follow the steps in the book for that. But the book, after the first part, or the first chapter, but I called them parts for some reason, everything else is full of information on ways that you can be in a better state, different things that you can do, whether they're practical things, like when you get out of the shower, as you're rubbing on the body lotion, telling your body how much you love it. Thank you, legs. I love you, legs. You allow me to walk and to drive my car and to swim in the pool and jump in the sea. And so there's practical things in there. And like, eat what's right for you. Don't drink fluoride in your water because fluoride's not good for us. There's just lots. And like I said, there's questions at the end of each chapter too, so that if you want to, you can take things further. It's just snippets, because at the end also I brought part of the spiritual world in, like the law of attraction, the 100 monkey effect, the butterfly effect, all those sort of things, because I want people to realize that we're all connected.
Right. Yeah.
What we do has an impact on the world. So when we are feeling our best self, and we are human, there's going to be days when we're not so happy and we might well be miserable, but we don't stay in that space. And every time we are in a better frequency, because we are feeling happier, that's going out into the world. That's affecting the whole world.
Right.
So I see that I've written a little bit about a lot of things so that people can then go and follow up further. So I've written, heart poses for yoga, essential oils for the heart. There's all sorts of different things in the book. I can't even remember it all, because it's a while back since I wrote it, but I know there is an awful lot. So I think anybody who reads it will find something that will be of benefit for them. Oh, I've lost you. And will find some things out about themselves if they apply themselves to the questions and things.
So let's get to the other part of the title, The Badass Way.
Well, that came around because before I wrote this book, I was in a compendium, if that's what you call it, another book, a compilation that somebody else had written. And it was all by women. And, you know, we've all gone through some adversity of some sort. So we all wrote a chapter. And that was called something like Uncaged Women. And then it was scrawled out and it had badass or something. And I just thought, I'm not really fluffy. I'm not. So I thought, you know, when I was speaking to a fellow author who's also a fellow coach, and we were chatting, and she said, you know, I like the part of the title, The Badass Way, links in with your previous chapter in your other book. And it's funny because I had mixed reviews. You know, some people thought it was a bit harsh, and others were like, no, that's absolutely suits you down to the ground. And I just thought, well, I like it.
Very good.
I didn't, some people think, you know, the badass way has got a negative connotation, but actually if you Google it, it's got connotations positive and negative. So you either like it or you don't. I think that I'm a Marmite person, so I don't know if you have Marmite in the States. I don't think you do, but we have Marmite here. It's a yeast extract that you put on toast or bread. So you have bread, butter, and this yeast extract that's called Marmite. Now, everyone either loves Marmite or doesn't. And I feel that I'm that type of person because especially as I've got older, I'm probably more forthright, but I say it kindly. You either love me or you don't, and that's Marmite. And maybe the same with the book title. You're either drawn to things through resonance, aren't you? Or you're not.
That's great. That's great. Well, you know, that's a realization that comes along learning about how you were as a people pleaser. And all of a sudden, that's self-acceptance, as to say, hey, you either like me or you're not. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be the best me I can be. And not all of us, you know, like chocolate. I mean, not a lot, you know, you never know. But that's hilarious. Well, I'm definitely a badass. And anybody who knows me knows that. So that's why it definitely grabbed me, because I thought, oh, wow. And plus, you know, I do feng shui, and it's all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about using all of the elements and all of the frequencies to open up the chakras. And opening up the heart is something, and dealing with emotions is something that we're all going to be doing, because it's kind of threading this tapestry into astrology. Mars is an action planet. It's what gets you up in the morning. It's what sparks your thoughts. And Mars can be aggressive, but it also drives you to accomplish goals, to get to where you want to be, to learn more things, to find out about yourself, and also you know, to kind of appreciate the lessons that are and challenges that are coming your way. But Mars is in Cancer right now, so it's one of those things where, wow, you know, Cancer deals with a lot of emotions, and a lot of times Cancers, because their symbol is the crab, they like to stick their head in the sand and, you know, crawl in there in a deep little hole somewhere, and you know, be by themselves and kind of, you know, go over the wound 100 times. And so with Mars, this kind of drives you up and out And I always tell people that, if you're being aspected by some type of a cancer mood where you don't want to do anything, and you can fall into called a depression if you're not careful. Cancers and polar opposite Capricorn do the same things. But the thing is that you can do that. You can take a time out. You can self-care for 3 days. But then by then, you got to get up and start joining the world and really start enjoying your life, and really start appreciating, why you needed that time out and what happened. And okay, that's great, but now let's get on with life. And I think that, therapy can be so rewarding to change your perspective, helping, not only helping when you've had a trauma, but also helping compatibility between partners as well. I think that's a really great thing to learn, partnership skills. And if you just decide that, you yourself in your heart, you want to have a partnership and a relationship with your heart, that's also a wonderful compatibility to learn how to do that. And having a mentor, having a therapist, having, a consultant for you, or let's say in your close circle of tribe that you have around you, your support group. I think it's fabulous. And your book is a resource that we all can share, pass around, invite into the next book club of the month, and have some fun with not only learning more about the spiritual world, but really getting some results, and maybe having a new perspective about what it takes to be happy. What really does it take to be happy? And Denise, people say, oh, well, when I lose a stone, I'm going to be really happy. Or, when I have that perfect man, I'm going to be really happy. Or, whatever, when I have that great house, I'm going to be really happy. And that's really not how it works. You're going to be really happy
it's a choice. I think it's a choice. We have to make a choice and decide that we're going to be happy and find gratitude. Gratitude to me is one of the huge keys to feeling better.
Yeah.
Every single day, I am always saying my gratitude for what I'm grateful for. Not everything, because I'd be there forever. But I absolutely, sometimes I'll do it in the morning, sometimes I'll do it at night as well. Sometimes I'll do it if I'm out and about driving. Even if I just saw an ambulance, I say, oh, thank you, God, that I'm feeling great because I'm driving my car and, that person's off to hospital. There's always something that even when we're feeling at our bleakest, there is something we can find gratitude for. And it is hard when you are feeling in the depths of despair, but it's making a decision that you're not going to stay in that place. And what I found worked for me was I got into overwhelm, because all of a sudden, my husband had left and I was responsible for absolutely everything. And what I found worked for me was just tackle one thing at a time.
Good.
And that just worked. And so I thought, right. And other people say, oh, I've got so much to do and this, that, and the other. And I said, well, if you just do focus on one thing and get that out of the way, then you can do the next one. And for most people, that works really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you were talking about therapy and coaching, that may have been the beginning of my journey, by having coaching and therapy and healing and all of that for my divorce. However, for the last 20 years, on and off, I still have therapy, coaching, healing, whatever I feel I need, whenever I feel I need it. And sometimes I felt I needed it and I've gone to the coach. Well, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here and I feel like I should be here and I don't even know what I need. But we've always found something. So, yeah, I think it's important as a coach as well that I be as clear a vessel as I can too, for my clients, but also for me.
Right.
This is
And
only
so
one life in this body.
have you gotten into different healing modalities as well?
Oh yes, I mean that was also at the beginning. Sorry, I'm moving my leg. At the beginning of my journey, I started, like I said, with NLP and hypnotherapy, but I also did EFT, which was the tapping, but I did Reiki, reconnective healing with Eric Pearl. There's been lots of different modalities of both, of doing, you know, like talking therapies as well as hands-on healing, including with the Spiritualist Church. So yes, I've done all of that, and I don't believe that I've done it, although I used that term just then. I just feel that we are the facilitator, we're the conduit. So source's energy, universal energy, comes through us and through our hands, or if it's Eric Pearl, through our eyes by looking at the clients. And we are, the energy is telling their body to heal itself. And at the moment, actually, my latest toy is an Iterra Air wand. And it's called a hot air blower, but we call it our magic wands. And that's brilliant because it's got it's a frequency device that blows hot air, but it's got 3 different healing things. So it's got scalar energy, it's got terahertz, and it's got crystal. And the amazing results we've had with this frequency device is just fabulous. So I use that every day. So that's something, so I can be proactive, because I'm 67 next month. And, you know, I think it's important that I take good care. Well, I want to be the best, the healthiest. It raises your frequencies as well. So that's just another bonus, as well as the health bit. And I just think, yay, aren't we blessed? We live in such interesting times.
Where is this device? How can we get one?
You can buy them through me, because I can take your details, and then I will send it to my stockist out in the States.
Oh,
So
nice.
by the States rather than coming from the UK, because otherwise we have all the issues with, you know, nice tax people wanting extra money.
And what is the name of this device?
So, well, I don't really want to, I'm concerned about saying it out loud, because some people then go online and they think they found it on Amazon or somewhere else. And actually they're fakes. They're not the real ones. But it's an Iterra Care wand. So if people are going to buy it, make sure they're buying it from a proper distributor. We never sell them on a platform, ever. You won't find real ones on eBay or Etsy or Amazon or anywhere. They're real people like me, and you'll have them there that are distributors of the product.
And do you feel lighter? Do you have energy?
I've noticed a big difference in various things, actually. Even my skin. My son from Australia said to me, "Gosh, what have you done, Mum?" He said, because I had a lot of flaky skin, where my skin had dried out after, you know, postmenopausal and all of that. My hygienist has said that my gums have improved. She said, "You must have been brushing much better." And I thought, no, it's not that. It's my wand. I'm deliberately using my wand. But some people have had changes in really big health issues, and we're not allowed to say that it is a healing device, because you know why. But people have had all sorts of prognoses, and they've been turned around. And some people have also been damaged by having the vaxes.
Right.
And they've been helped with that as well, because everybody said that once you've had that, things can't be changed, blah, blah. Well, actually they have. So it's quite amazing. I haven't got anything dreadful like that. So my changes have been a lot more subtle. You know, when I do the child pose in yoga, I used to have a lot of pain in the behind the left knee, and now I don't get that anymore. So I can go right down and there's no pain. So mine are all little things. I had a very wobbly tooth and a root canal issue at the front, and that's the reason why I actually bought the wand. And now that tooth has solidified, it's strengthened in there, and I kept getting root canal every couple of weeks infections, and I've had nothing.
Wow, that's great. Yay.
So, you know, they are big things to me, but small in comparison to people who have had really big changes. And I think it is about us, you know, we can't rely on the state to take care of us all the time. In the UK, the NHS is being sold off all the time. We're really not getting good services and anything. And I just think we need to be proactive ourselves. You know, who else is responsible for my health? Well, me.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Well, gosh, thanks so much for sharing that. I'm all about scalar energy. I've had many people on, and we've tried a lot of devices and a lot of things, especially Ken Rolla and his Fresh and Alive. He's part of an inventor with a lot of unbelievable results, and also the EE systems, and a lot of results from that is coming through now. And now with this huge move with Pluto into Aquarius, we are going to have amazing inventions coming down the pike, to the point that I want to say by July, I think corporate's going to start, you know, big businesses and governmental issues are going to step in and going to try to block some of this from happening or discredit. You know, they're going to, you know, kind of get that discredited copy, you know, out there where, you know, it just is there to harm or to block you or make you doubt certain things. But by next year, next February, Pluto's going to be back in Aquarius, and it's going to stay there for 20 years. So all of is going to come up for the betterment of humanity. And number one is going to be alternative health, and how, and not only how this can happen, but to be so reasonable that it'll be free, and that this will be just something that we know how to take care of ourselves, that you are talking so wonderfully about today, the topic today, the self-care. But alternative methods, I think, is the key here, and also to make it available for everyone, so that, you know, to better the health of mankind, you don't have to market it to be a millionaire. You know, this is for something that's across the board. This is going to up level everyone's frequency. And as you were saying, we're all a part of each other. And once the tipping point is reached, you know, then we go up, and, you know, and we keep exploring onward and upward. So I think that's going to be great. So, you know, all of this wonderful, you know, wonderful inventions, or perhaps just coming across something and getting on a platform like what we have right here and sharing it, and sharing your book, or sharing seminars, or passing on wonderful information to people is the beginning. And I think that once everyone is very comfortable with sharing the trauma in their lives, you know, a lot of people aren't comfortable, you know, they're ashamed, or, you know, they're like, oh, you know, people aren't going to look at me the same way, or I'm embarrassed to talk about my trauma and what happened in my life, you know. My late husband committed suicide, and that's like stigmata. I mean, no one wants to talk about suicide, and it's like the elephant in the room at a funeral when that happens. It's also passed down through the generations, that perhaps you're going to do it someday if you're a child, or, you know, in the inner family circle. And so I'm very much about talking about it, making it a very normal conversation, you know, that people do, you know, think about, you know, leaving the planet, and perhaps that's a better choice than going on for the next day. And there's a lot of different things that I think that some of these inventions are going to change the way we even value life itself. And as you were saying, it's a gift, it's a present. You know, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's not the end of the world if your partner decides to exit stage left. It is not the end of the world. And there are so many people around you that you can use as a support team and as part of your tribe, and that you can rely on if you need anything. And one of my suggestions is always to be aware of developing that tribe around you. And it may not.
That's in my book. Find your precious people. Again, I was going to use the word tribe, but then it became people stopped using it because of overuse. But actually, I like that word, and it is very important. When I was training in clinical hypnotherapy, we had to do loads of assignments. I mean, lots and loads of research. And I remember doing one of the researches, and it was all around, the focus was on cancer, and it was all around hypnotherapy, the power of prayer and intention and all these things. And what they said, that having a group of people where you can know that you've got social interaction and support is really important. Intention itself was really important. The power of prayer, they said you could even do it back, you know, do the power of prayer retrospectively. We know quantum physics, so if you know that, you can sort of get a handle on it, although it does boggle your mind. And it was really, really important for everybody. And we know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Again, we still all need to have some sense of purpose and some sense of connection. And we've seen that in the past. Babies that haven't had any physical touch or anybody speak to them, I think it was in Romania, in the orphanages, that they never thrived. They never thrived. So, you know, we need that contact. It is important for sure.
Yeah. And we know that we're not alone. You know, that's another thing. We need to know that, you know, because not only do you need to receive, okay, not only do you need to receive love, but you need to give it as well. There needs to be what's called a circuitry that goes around back and forth, you know, through you, in you, and releasing it out. I mean, that's exactly why you need plants around you. You know, they give you oxygen and you give carbon dioxide. I mean, this is how this partnership works. It's a fabulous formula, and but it's much needed in your electromagnetic field, as you said, in order to grow, in order to complete your mission and why you're here, and to kind of ground in information and also energy as well. Well, we can purchase this book on Amazon, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. And where can we find you to ask about this magic wand that you have?
So it's probably best if you email me, because I've just discovered that my website seems to be down. So if you email me on my personal email, which is DEENEES, as a play on the name of Denise, Denise at hotmail.co.uk.
Very good. Thank you for that. Because I know a lot of people are going to be very interested in hearing about what this is and how to get their hands on one.
But it's funny because in the book, I had a different machine, which I still do have. I had a bioresonance machine. But as you know, with technology, it's always being upgraded and different. So that was a machine, you know, that I'd have to sit with headphones on and it do lovely body scans. And it still does. It's still a lovely machine. But the wand is so quick because you're just doing it on yourself, and you structure your water with it as well, which is important to me because, you know, we know that 70% of our body is comprised of water, and our brain is, I think, like 90%. So it's good that you have good quality water, and it moves it, so it makes it live.
Wow. That's yeah, that is unique. Wow. That's perfect. Well, I want to hear all about it. So count me in. Just email me all the stuff. I try all the machines of all the people that are on my show. I try them all. And I get great feedback. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I am very much interested in trying your magic wand and reading your book and being a big fan. So everybody get on the ball and pick up the book, Harmonize Your Heart, the Badass Way, with Denise Davis, and check out, just check out her friend list. I think her social media is Facebook. And are you on Instagram as well?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter, but to be fair, I don't use them that much. It's and the same with LinkedIn. My main place really is Facebook.
Perfect. Well, we'd love to have everybody try this and also kind of give feedback. We'd love that, right? We would love that. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the show. And I just find you delightful. And I'm so happy you took the time with us today. And maybe you'll come back when the next book starts coming out. Whatever that is, we would love to have you back on the show, Denise. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a lovely chat. I missed the tea. I missed the tea. Next time we'll have tea and have another chat. Yeah. And for everyone out there, thank you so much for coming along with me. This is Kimla Lowe, and you can always reach me at kimlalowe.com if you'd like a session with me as well. Until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.